slaloms. Let's have a look now then at the start list for the men's giant slalom visually impaired run 1. And Jakub Krako, number 7, is the defending Paralympic champion, but John Santacana, number 14, is a silver medalist in Vancouver, but is the reigning Alpine world champion at the giant slalom discipline. Marcoux of Canada at number 4 was a silver medalist up in La Molina last year. We have 18 athletes going in total across 3 classes within the visual impairment category. So as we look down the finishing pitch over on the right hand side, we're looking across the very steep finishing pitch from the downhill and super G, but this track veers off to the left of the deer jump, and it makes for a much better finish. It gives the giant slalom race more rhythm, and it makes it a much better giant slalom track. 113 competitors in total racing the men's giant slalom across the 3 categories, so pretty busy up at the top, but we're almost ready. Here is the course profile. Starts at 1300 meters, 49 gates, and as I said, Falco Tetzma has set a really decent rhythmical course. Snow conditions, not too bad. As the Canadians
I'll get air drums going. Yeah? All right.
Well, walk into the room.
Enjoy their little warm-up. So the men's giant slalom at the 2014 Sochi Winter Paralympics about to get underway, and it's Ivan Frantsev of Russia and his guide Herman Agranovsky who will get us underway on this giant slalom course set by Falco Tetzma of the Netherlands. 49 gates in total, a rhythmical set. And let's just have a look at the pattern of gates. Now this is the bear's brow jump, sorry, and they snake their way across the flatter section between the bear's brow and the lake jump. Now giant slalom, of course, makes the skier work from top to bottom. There's no rest, there's no area where they can let up. The most technical of all the Alpine disciplines. It combines speed with the turns, and it's what everybody who starts Alpine racing starts. This is the one they will want to win. The time check 50.49. Now they veer off to the left in the downhill and giant slalom. They've gone off to the left of camera, but they've gone skiers left and avoided the gear jump pitch, and they have this friendlier pitch that allows for a giant slalom track. And even Frantsev, in his second Winter Paralympics, he's been close to the podium, but he hasn't been on it. His sister has 4 medals to her name in these games, and Frantsev sets a time of 1:21.51. We'll have to wait and see how competitive that is. Now Marek Kubaka of Slovakia, the next to go. His guy Natalia Karpisova. Now Kubaka is in the B1 class, and this is for skiers that are either blind or have a low visual acuity. By way of recognition, their level of visual acuity is such that the athlete cannot recognise a capital E, that is 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres, from a distance of 25 centimetres. And Kubaka does brilliantly well, as does his guide Natalia Karpisova, in keeping him on the racing line. His goggles are blacked out, he cannot see a thing. And Karpisova doing a brilliant job. As Kubaka listens to her instructions. We really need to be a little further out. Now we can see him on the racing line, and Kubaka had a difficult time of it on the very steep icy slalom track. He's doing a really good job on this giant slalom. Marek Kubaka, couple of gates from home now. And Kubaka gets to the bottom, 1:24.69, 3.18 off the pace. Good job by both Kubaka and Karpisova. Now Mark Batham and Kade Yamamoto in the B2 class, double medalist from these Winter Paralympic Games. Silver in Super G, silver and Super combined, 5th in the downhill, 4th in the slalom. Now, what can he do here? B2 class for athletes that are unable to recognise that capital E that's 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres from a distance of 4 metres. While athletes with a visual field of less than 10 degrees diameter are eligible for this sport class. Now, under the bear's brow, and onto this flatter section, but very technical. The guide has to stay within 2 gates of the athlete. And the speed of entered is 1. And Batham's picked up a flag. Oh no, he's gone through the gate. Through the control gate, and he's upended. And Batham's Winter Paralympics comes to an end on the late jump. Just cut it too tight and straddled. And no way back for the American from there. No, let's hope that Batham is okay. He's up on his feet, that's the main thing. Max Marcoux and Robin Femi wait for the all clear. And the course is prepared, or the gate is repaired, and then Batham ushered from the racetrack. Marcoux, silver medalist from the World Championship Giant Slalom in La Molina last year. There's 2 bronze medals from his competitions so far in Sochi. Definitely a little bit colder than on previous days.
Free to start.
Alright, boys.
Bring it big, man. Alright.
30 seconds, let's get some, boys.
Alright, man.
So, Mac Marcoux and Robin Femi in the B3 sport class, which describes the least severe visual impairment eligible for alpine skiing. Athletes either have a restricted visual field or less than 40 degrees diameter or a low visual acuity. And off go the Canadian pairing. Trying to keep a watch on his athletes, and Marcoux does a good job over the terrain change of the bear's brow. Again, alternate red and blue gates. The medal decided over 2 runs, the fastest 15 going in reverse order in the second run. And Mac Marcoux and Robin Femi doing a good job now. Even Frantsev of Russia leads the way. He was the first man down the track. And Marcoux just getting a little late in the line, but does well to recover. Now, Marcoux 3.34 inside the time of Frantsev. He's skiing brilliantly well here, the Canadian. Femi continues to bark instructions. Marcoux following as closely as he dare. But the pair skiing well, linking the turns nicely. 4 gates from home now. Marcoux to take the lead away from Frantsev, which surely he must do. And Marcoux sets a new time, 5.73 inside the time of Frantsev, 1:15.78. The new time to beat. Good start. Oh, Mike Marcoux, I think, can
That's a leg burner.
be pleased with that, and
All right.
I'm sure there'll be a lot of burning legs. Who said, GS, the toughest of all the disciplines. Now, Chris Williamson in the gates, his guide Nick Brush from Canada,
Let's go.
bronze medalist
Boys, we've got
in the men's slalom, and we'll catch them up a little bit further down the piece. The start intervals reduce, so we don't get to see the whole run. And well, Williamson goes second, but he's 5.27 off the pace of Marcoux. And usually you pick them up just after Bear's Brows. Let's see what we do with Miroslav Haris of Slovakia. Second in the World Cup standings in giant slalom. Won one race in Thredbo back in September. That's in Australia. Was second in the first race down in Thredbo. Won the second race. He was also second in San Moritz, the last race before these games. He was second in downhill. He started these games really well, and he's been skiing not too badly, but just one error in each run has cost him. Now, how will he go on this technical giant slalom course set by Krako of the Netherlands? Needs to keep the rhythm going if he can. Testing course that has been set. Martin Motica is the guide, and Harris late on that right ski turn. Oh, that's good strength, really good core strength to pull himself up from there, and he's just 0.38 off the pace. In fact, this is Jakub Krako, so Miroslav Harris has been and raced, and he finished 6th. So this is Krako, the defending Paralympic champion in giant slalom. Excuse me. Now 1:16.02 is Marcoux's time, and Krako stops the clock in a time of 1:18.41. He is second for the time being. So another skier from Slovakia now, Radomir Dudas, and his guy Michael Sterven. Third in Salt Lake in this discipline. Third in Sestriere, the Para World Championship in 2011. But Matt Marcoux has set a blistering time on this first run of the men's giant slalom, and nobody can keep up with him yet, although we do have the favourites still to come in terms of World Cup leaders and reigning world champion, Para World champion in the discipline. So Marcoux's time will get tested a couple of skiers' time, but for the time being He's too hot for everybody else. Dudas 6, 7.29 off the pace. The fifth Slovakian in the race. Each country allowed 5 skiers per discipline, so this is the final Slovakian skier, and Michael Beledic and Filip Motika find themselves a long way off the pace, nearly 7 seconds off the pace. 6th in Lamelina in giant slalom. And we see a decent slalom leg in the super combined here in Sochi, but this very technical giant slalom course touching a lot of the skiers out. Beledic then for the line. Well, he's a long way behind Marcoux at the halfway point of this giant slalom race, 10.93 off the pace. Maciej Krzel of Poland, the next to go. He is in the B3 class. And Krzel, 13th in the World Cup, was 3rd in the slalom run of the super combined, but couldn't convert that into a medal. His guide is Anna Orgazinska. Orgazinska leading the way. She's got away in front of Krzel, but now Krzel starts to catch up. And he stops the clock. 7.6 seconds off the pace. Now, Gabriel Juan Gorce Ipez, who won his first major medal in the men's super combined visually impaired category on day 7 of competition. Gets it all wrong on the backside of the lake jump and loses a lot of time. He gets back into the racing line. He's 5 seconds off at the time check. And Gorce Ipez, 4th on the World Cup Tour in the discipline of giant slalom. It was a big mistake, cost him a lot of time on this opening run, but how much time will it cost him at the bottom? 5.34 down at the interval. He's looking at that and more at the bottom as he stops the clock at a time of 1:25.04, 9.02 off the pace, so cost him. Valery Kuzyabov and his guide, Evgeny Geloev of Russia. Kuzyabov, a double gold medalist from these Winter Paralympic Games in slalom and super combined. Good slalom skier. How will he fare on this technical GS course? 3rd in the World Cup standings. He's won a couple of races in Panorama in January and Copper Mountain also in January this year. 3rd in San Moritz in the last race before these games, and doing a good job now. Marcoux time. This is the first real test of it, but it looks like it's going to stand up, and it is going to stand up by some way. 3.89. Wow. Alessandro Daldos now of Italy, the World Cup leader. 2 wins. The first and last race on the World Cup Tour in Thredbo and San Moritz. The in-between very consistent. 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and a 4. This his best event, but he's not even close to Marc Marcoux. Daldos in the B2 class in this visually impaired category, skiing with Luca Negrini, his guide, and putting in some nice turns, but Marcoux flew down this course. Now Daldos is very late in the line. He was very straight on that red gate and has to get hard on the left ski to make it across for the next control gate, and he's 5.41 off the pace. Now, the reigning para world champion, silver medalist from the Winter Paralympics in Vancouver, Jon Santacana, Maiztegui and Miguel Galindo Garfez, his guide. What can Santacana do here? And the answer is he's a second off the pace of Marcoux. A gold and silver from these games already in downhill and slalom respectively. Even Santacana is struggling to keep up with Marcoux. Marcoux didn't race on day 7 in the Super G part of the Super Combined, so had a day off. Santacana Maiztegui was racing, and he is third, 3.59 off the pace. Alexander Fedoruk of Russia and Artem Zagorodskiska. His guide, their first Winter Paralympic Games, and Fedoruk skiing in the B2 class. Traveling on a very steep, icy part of the track on the backside of the lake jump, and stops the clock 6.51 off the pace. Marcoux just in a different league here in this first run of the visually impaired giant slalom run. Comes, goes, and how much will it go by? And Alexander Fedoruk of Russia stops the time. He's over 10, 11, 12 seconds off the pace. Slots into 14th slot. Now, Patrick Hetman of the Czech Republic and Miroslav Mikala. Next to go, again the B2 class. I'll just remind you that the class profile includes athletes that are unable to recognise a capital letter E, which is 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres in size, from a distance of 4 metres, while athletes with a visual field of less than 10 degrees diameter are also eligible for this class. 3 categories being raced today: visually impaired, standing and sitting. And the other categories just getting ready for their run. They wandered across the start gate, and Patrick Hetman and Miroslav Mikala get ready to put down their challenge. His first major competition. He is underway. And Patrick Hetman, 30-year-old from the Czech Republic, is off and racing. Gets caught on the back ski. Then he almost sketches an inside edge over Bear's brow. And struggling on these icy, tricky conditions and getting late in the line. Now he's got the rhythm back. And he's still got to take on the pitch of the lake jump, which is also very icy and rutty. The wet, slushy snow, frozen overnight. And although it's been slipped and flattened out, there are still big ruts. And he's really struggling. Has to take that red gate on the inside ski, and he hangs on in there. 6.93 off the pace. And even the guide struggling on the blue gate, and as a result, Hetman gets late in the line. Very difficult for the guide looking back if he then catches an edge. It's difficult to maintain the right line. Now Marcoux's time is certainly going to be the quickest. of the first run. Hepmer quite some way behind his guide. Remember, the guide has to be within 2 gates, and 13.8 off the pace. Hepmer slots into 15 slot, 13.8 behind 129.82. Now, next in the start hut, Dmitry Kuzmin of Ukraine, 28 years of age, his first Winter Paralympic Games, racing the technical disciplines. He was 13th in the giant slalom in La Molina at the World Championships last year. And he's 14 seconds off the pace of Marcoux, our leader. Not the interval, just at the bottom of the late jump. Kuzmin's guide, Sergei Dodosh. And Kuzmin skiing in the B2 class. Now, Marcoux side. Well, Krako in Slovakia is the closest, 2.39, and he's the defending Paralympic champion in this discipline. It shows you how good Marcoux is skiing, and Kuzmin 22.83 off the pace. So the final skier in this visually impaired men's giant slalom first run is Damir Mizrak of Croatia, the lowest ranked skier of the 18 in this race. And at the halfway mark, he's already almost 21 seconds off the pace of Marcoux. 22 years of age. His first major competition. Finding this rhythmical first course a challenge, not only in the snow conditions, it's a long course as well. As we heard Marcoux say, well, it's a leg burner. And here he comes now into the finish, and 1:16.02. He is 35.25 seconds off the pace that he's got down. Well done to Damir Mizrak. So after the first round of the men's giant slalom in the visually impaired category, it's Marcoux of Canada who leads the way by a massive 2.39 seconds over Jakub Krako, the defending champion, in second, while the reigning Alpine GS world champion Santacana Maiztegui is in third. Wow, it's a tough looking course, but 17 of the 18 skiers have made it to the bottom.